Oh, oh, I see it. I see it. All right, I see we're live. All right. Greetings, friends and fam. It is I, Lord Wolfshield, and I'm back again with another Bizarchives Extravaganza show. Here to talk about the Volume 3 that was released, as well as some other things. It's been 7 months since we did the Bizarchives Extravaganza for Volume 2, but there's been like so many things that have been happening in the world of the Bizarchives, and it'd be good to kind of go through that. Obviously we got the main sort of Bizarchives book that has come out, but we also have a whole bunch of solo books that got released. Uh, Very cool stuff. We'll kind of go through some of that later. And you've also had some very big successes, or at least one super big success with Spire recently.
Mhm.
So we can kind of go through some of that. But yeah, I'm here with my wonderful co-host Hyrith. How are we doing today?
Hello, I'm doing wonderful. I'm just here to have a comfy chat with these amazing writers and talk about issue number 3 and beyond.
Nice. And then we have the Grand Poobah of Bizarchives himself, Dave Martel. How are we doing?
I'm doing good, sir. Thank you for having me.
Of course, always. And then we got some of the incredible authors joining us today. We got Shane Hawks.
That's me.
Yeah. And then we got A. Cuthbertson.
Yep. Hi. Thanks for having me.
And of course the amazing MS Jones. Glad you could join us.
Good evening, everybody. I like that. Amazing.
Yeah. I really love it. Like everything you do. You're my favorite out of all the authors. But
Oh, stop it. I'm married, man.
no. Oh god. Yeah, so anyway,
What was that? You like my writing? What are you, gay?
oh embarrassing. All right, anyway. So let's talk a little bit about Bizarchives Volume 3. So as you can see, this cover is quite something. That is quite a graphic cover there you went for, Dave. And I think it kind of goes it kind of goes with the tone of the overall. The overall series felt very much more like kind of dark and gruesome, kind of more so than the other ones. So I think the cover kind of went well with the overall tone of the series. But yeah, you got a new artist to do that. Some Swedish guy, I think, right?
Yeah, finish, Mr.
Oh,
Arturi
finish.
Kivella. Yeah.
Yeah, very impressive work. I really like that. Yeah, so I was thinking I would do my top 5 countdown again. So I did the I love doing my lists, categorizing things, ranking things. I love doing that. So I figured we could kind of do that and just kind of open up a general discussion for what people thought about these different stories because Dave, he likes to go on and kind of pontificate about the pulp as this like art form, and talk about the great masters and whatnot. But I kind of want to get into the nitty gritty of like the actual stories here and like, yeah, kind of talk about that, kind of nerd out a bit, as it were. So anyway, we're gonna start with number 6.
Wait, I thought you were doing a top 5.
Yeah, well, it's my list. I make the rules. Number 6. Oh, well, actually, I was gonna do number 6 because Robert C. Booth. I put Robert C. Booth's book as number 6, but he's not even here. R.I.P. Kind of sad about that. I was so excited to see him wear a top hat again, like he did last time. But so that was Jennings. Kind of a creepy story about like a talking stuffed animal, essentially.
It's like a fey dog. Is what I gathered. I liked that story a lot, actually. I love dogs, so.
Right.
But yeah, he said in there that it was like a fey dog, a type of fey creature. But it was like from what I gathered, it was like a taxidermy type of dog, right? Because it was attached to a wooden board. Or is a stuffed dog that was attached to a wooden board.
Yeah, it said stuffed. Yeah, I guess I thought it was like a stuffed animal. I guess I didn't pay that close attention. I thought that was kind of weird, but that makes more sense that if it was like a taxidermy dog. But this dog is like telling this young girl stuff, about her past, and there's a revelation about who her real father is, and there's a
Don't give everything away.
well, whatever. We're
It's
getting
been
into the
it's been like
nitty-gritty.
8 months. It's been out.
Exactly. The thing is, like, I want to actually just like
This is true.
I want to talk about the stories. Did any of you
Okay.
guys also read that? What do you guys think?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love that
I
one.
enjoyed
It's
that
really
one.
good. It has the best artwork. If any of you have the artwork to hand, you do have the book there, right? Go.
Yeah,
do.
I love the artwork
That's
for that one.
nuts.
I agree. I really like the artwork for that one.
Nobody's getting chopped in half or anything in that one.
Who
It's
did
just-
that?
Yeah,
good.
it's kind of the most wholesome.
Yeah, who
Out
did
of-
that one?
That's
The art-
Brendan Head. I
Yeah.
believe.
Yep.
Oh,
Brandon
cool.
Oh, Brandon
Fantastic
Hurd did
art.
that. You said?
Yeah,
Yep.
Mr. Warriors Press himself. Yes.
Oh,
Nice.
Okay.
Oh,
Very
you're joining him tomorrow, aren't you, Dave?
Yes, I am. Either tomorrow or Tuesday. I can't remember. I gotta check my calendar.
Yeah, I was on his podcast last Wednesday, and we were talking about Bizarchives briefly and stuff. Talking about how he said he was in issue number 4. He wrote a story for that, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
That's good.
And
Is
also, I am in Aegeon 3. I think me, AC, and Mr. Jones are in
Oh.
Aegeon 3.
Ooh, now I need to get that. Awesome.
Yeah, it was like a Bizarchives invasion over there. So it was like AC's got a story called Screaming Circuits. I had a story called Parables of the Biomancer. Mr. Jones, what was your story again?
Well, I didn't get one in this time.
Oh, you did? Oh, I thought you were over
Oh,
in there.
sad day.
I'm blocked when I try and write sci-fi.
Ah.
That's my thing.
Yeah, I've never
That's where
been
I end
like
up describing a big spaceship and people wandering around and
Yeah, the sci-fi.
hibernation now. Let's go to a planet. Let's find some ancient artifact. And I'd just rather do it with swords,
Yeah,
Mhm.
that based. I love that because I'm definitely on your same wavelength with that. I just can't really get into the sci-fi that much. I love the swords and sorcery and magic and all that type of stuff. That's my bread and
I'm going to
butter.
give it a try for the next issue because I think you need to keep pushing yourself. So
Yeah.
I'll see what I can come up with. Could be the next June.
Absolutely.
I actually really need to check those out because I haven't read any of those yet, so I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
purchase those.
I feel like I'm like a Bizarchives bro, so I'm just like
Yeah, me too.
I can't like cheat on Bizarchives and read somebody else's. but but if there's actual Bizarchives authors in that, then I think I'll be more inclined to actually buy it.
Yeah, AC's story in it is like top notch. It's like one of my favorite sci-fi shorts that has come out of the scene so far. It's he's got a really great story in there.
Yeah, thank you. Gets pretty creepy, that one. About some dudes exploring a spaceship, basically. Like, I know MS Jones has just completely ridiculed that notion. But, it is, funnily enough, about some guys wandering around on a spaceship, actually.
They all are.
Never mind.
Yeah. And then my story in there is sort of like a manifesto written from a mad scientist's point of view, and it's one of the weirdest stories I ever wrote up till that point. I have weirder ones coming, but it's a pretty weird. It's not your typical sword and planet adventure outer space kind of sci-fi. It's more of a biopunk kind of like building machines out of human body parts and like we
Oh, wow.
I
typical
love stuff like that.
Yeah,
Well,
typical Martellian body horror weird shit.
You know that sci-fi one that you wrote in the first volume. That's still my favorite out of all the ones that you've written. So surprisingly enough,
Really?
yeah. So I am kind of I'm excited to
Told
read
you.
another sort of sci-fi Dave Martell story.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So number 5, we have oh shit. Well, let me get my list up. Lex Conquers Hell by Dave Martell.
Hell yeah.
Oh
Ooh.
goodness gracious! This was wild.
First
Yeah.
of all,
was wild.
It was.
Definitely the most gruesome thing I've ever read in my life, to be honest.
Oh, wait till Bizarchives 4 for Dave's story in that.
Oh no! Is it even worse? It's even more gruesome.
It's rough.
Oh no! It's just like, just the never-ending, just like gore and violence. Like when he's
Gratuitous
like
violence.
when he's like when Dave, so Lex, he I don't know. He comes to like some dude's house. And the dude like doesn't want to let him in, so he's just like destroying his legs.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite part. My favorite line in the whole story was. My favorite line was when he was like, "Cripples can't fight," and then he's like stomping on the guy's legs, and he like makes him in cripple.
The
It
way
was
you
just
the
that
way
was
you
awesome.
described his legs just like flopping around like oh my god, that is just so vivid. And it's just like that is, even though I read that like quite a while ago when it first came out, it's still just like stuck in my mind. I'm like, I'll never forget about that. But yeah, I found it kind of enjoyable that, you know, it's a simple, like Lex is a very simple character. But there's something kind of, you know, fun about how you kind of deconstruct like an action hero, whatever, where he doesn't rely on like you know, like his wits really. He just relies on like punching things.
Like brute force.
Just brute force, you know.
Yeah.
It's like like you watch like Doctor Who or something. It's like there's all these like, you know, twists and turns, and he has to be super clever. Nope, Lex just like he comes up against a demon and just just pummels him with his fist. And that's how it do.
But he's also strong-willed because he's not like he doesn't give in to like the temptation of a seductress, you know. So
Right.
Yeah, he's definitely on the Sigma grind set.
Right. What'd you guys think about that one? Everybody else?
Hey, I love all the Lex stories. I mean, gratuitous violence. Who doesn't like a hyper Chad? You know, just beat him up story.
Ubermensch.
Yeah.
Yeah, very.
Yeah, me and Dave got into a big discussion about the metaphysics of Lex's world after that.
Okay,
I mean,
I'd like to know a little more of that, because I was somewhat confused also, because I was like, he dies and then he dies again, but then he lives. I wasn't.
I'll let Dave explain it. I was confused as well, but when he explained it, it did make sense. But
yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing. I don't like explaining things. I like letting people figure it out and use their imaginations and make shit up. So pretty much what happened was, you know, the way the story goes, he goes to the Emmerich estate, and there's a father there. Lex goes there because he hears that there's stories of a young girl being possessed or something like that. And, you know, he has the father tries to stop him. It turns out that the father and all of his kind of like, you know, lackeys are worshiping this girl, right? They're sacrificing people to her. She's been possessed by some kind, by this demon named Yautsnulek. And he goes up and, you know, he interacts with the demon, and the demon does demon stuff, and even like tries to seduce him. And he actually tricks the demon into thinking that he's being seduced, and then uses like a magic artifact to like lock up the demon, and he expels the demon by blasting her head open with his mace. And then the demon goes into him, and you know, he can feel the possession starting to take hold, so he runs and leaps off of a cliff into water, like trying to kill himself or go into water, just like lessen the demon, right? That's his plan. Was he used the artifact on himself. I believe it's called like the Devil's Manacles or something like that. And he like bounds himself up and hurls himself into the ocean below, like committing suicide. Well, what happens is the demon then takes his soul into Mirkwood, the underworld, and like switches him out. And there's a line in there that alludes to it. The demon is saying, "There's nothing you can do. You're now in my realm, and I am using your body to wreak havoc on the world, just completely destroying everything and killing people." And this pisses Lex off, and they get into Lex is there in it's his soul is there. He's not actually there. So he's like in soul form, and that's why he's able to like turn blue and glow and do all this kind of superhuman shit that he's not really able to do normally. He's like in a semi-material, immaterial world, like a soul realm. So he punches a demon to death, tears its guts out of his body, howls into the sky, he liberates all the souls in hell, leads a revolution, and they all get completely torn apart by the monsters of hell. But their souls by doing that got liberated and were able to be sent elsewhere to be reincarnated or back to their bodies or wherever they needed to go. And then Lex's soul goes back into his body, which survived under the sea. And then the next scene is that. Yeah, so that's why he appears and he's like got like reeds and everything on him this whole time, And then there's the line at the end where after he gets the dude hooked off the thing, he's like, "I feel like I've been to hell and back," and then bounces out like a cool guy. So that was like
very based.
I like the
Nice.
cheesy. I like cheesy lines like that because it's like it's like a flex,
like
but
an 80s one-liner.
Yeah, I love those. I love those things. I'm not even sorry.
Action film stuff, yeah, great.
Yeah,
very nice. So number 4 was The Shadows Under the Bed by Amir Tan. Yeah, did you guys read that one? I love this story. So he's had 3 stories about Bertrand Frand, I think. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, but I love this character. I love what he's doing, kind of building up this world slowly but surely. And his writing is just so beautiful. I did find like it felt kind of incomplete for me. I don't know so there's this like weird like hunchback character, and it was like a mystery about like what's going on, like what did this hunchback character, is he innocent or is he guilty? He's like in prison, and Bertrand is like visiting him in his like jail cell or whatever, and he's trying to figure out, is this guy guilty of all these like vicious murders, or is he like set up or not? So it's an interest, and that dialogue between them is so good. I think that was probably my favorite dialogue writing in the whole series, in the whole volume, this volume anyway. Just between those 2 characters, I thought there was a lot of depth and a lot of like mystery of like what's going on here, because like he can't quite tell if he because he's going to be executed, but he seems like okay with being executed. But even though he kind of says that he's not guilty, but he's okay with being executed, I don't know. It's quite fascinating story. But I had hoped he would join us. He didn't join us last time either, unfortunately. I would love to be able to talk with him and ask him about this character in this world, kind of pick his mind, because I really love it. But yeah, I'm wondering, is this character going to come back? Is there more, or is this just a one-off with this story? But yeah, I really enjoyed it. What did you guys think of this one and his world in general, I guess?
I think it's my favorite one of his so far. I think it's stronger than the first 2. I like the first 2, but this one's definitely the best.
I like the one in the second one better, I think. That one felt like more kind of complete, but this one was definitely like a close second, because it was
cool.
like
Boat combat on the second one was cool. I think that might be the only boat combat we've had so far. It was awesome. But
Grim Serpent.
Oh yeah, that is boat combat as well.
I definitely agree with you in regards to the dialogue. Dialogue's such an important part of the story, and Emertan really sells it.
Yeah, like the way he is able to write dialogue, that's like one of his strongest what's the word I'm looking for? Strongest
suit.
Suit? Is that the right word? I
Sure.
thought so, but that didn't sound right to me.
Suit, like a suit of
Okay.
cards.
Strongest suit? Okay, fine. Fair enough. And I love dialogue. I'm a big dialogue person in books. Like I think when it's just kind of describing things, like my mind just like wanders. But as soon as we get to like dialogue between characters, particularly if there's like a depth to it, like I'm just like, ooh, I get really sucked into it. But yeah, he's really good at that. I get really sucked into it. What the hell? Okay, so I'm hearing myself again. Is somebody does somebody got the YouTube video up playing through their speakers?
That was me. I just switched it on.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's all good. All right. Hopefully we can get him on in the future. I'd love to talk to him. I really love his style. And I'm that's like whenever I get a new volume, I'm always like one of the things I'm most excited to is get to the next Burfrand. I think that's how you pronounce it. Story.
He's civilizing his novel, basically, isn't he? Cheeky boy.
Yeah. All right. So
It's
moving
cool.
on.
I like that they set it up as like a murder mystery kind of vibe. It's nice at the start, and then goes into like fantasy combat based stuff towards the second half. Good stuff.
Yeah, it was very cool and really enjoyed that. Let's see here. Now number 3, I would say was The Terror of Black Mesa by Cypress Walter. So that one was very unique and interesting. I like that it was kind of like, had like 3 chapters. Like it felt like a 3-act story, and it was interesting. It was like kind of like a sci-fi, but it's like only slightly sort of set into the future. Like there's a hover bike, but it's not really like, I'm not sure.
More like a cyberpunk or what, like sci-fi western kind of deal.
Yeah,
like
it's like
definitely
a
post-apocalyptic,
weird
like
west.
this technology existing.
Okay, like a western cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird West. Sorry, that's it, isn't it? Yeah, Weird West. That's the micro genre name. But yeah, it's cool.
I liked that one too. There were elements of it that sort of reminded me of like old, like, I don't know, Native American mythology stories of like stuff like the Wendigo, which I'm a big fan of.
That's what I thought it was gonna be.
I really love like Wendigo stories for some reason. So I thought at first that that's what it was going to be, but it ended up being different, which is also
that creature.
Cool.
I meant to look up that creature. Is that a real creature in like native mythology?
The Wendigo, yeah.
No, the one that he actually is tracking, or the one that's tracking him.
I believe it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot to look that up. Yeah, it had a good vibe to it. It felt very like vivid. Like there's just like this weird, like creepy feeling of like being like there's this weird creature out there, and and he's seeing the effects of it, and it's like getting into his mind, and he feels it like getting closer and closer and stuff like that. I don't know. I found it was quite vivid and good.
It almost gives you the feeling that you're being watched.
Yeah. Yeah, it was quite effective in that way.
Yeah, I thought it was paced really well too. I do like that the 3 parts, like you said. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, he's a good writer. He's a great writer, actually. He's one of the editors. He's like the main editor in the previous issues.
Is this his first story?
Yeah, he actually has 2 stories in Bizarchives 3. He's got that one. He's got the breastplate from the Ancient Ones.
Whoa.
It's like a gothic vampire story. It's really actually
shit.
I think I like that one better than I like them both because his character Kit Barrow, who's in what is the other the Terror of Black Mesa, it's a really, really great story. It's like we mentioned Weird West cyberpunk horror, which is like this completeness like mashup, and he does it very well without it being too gonzo and zany. It's very like
it felt very grounded.
Very grounded. His other story is like classic. It's like classic modern gothic horror, and he does it just so with the vampires are really. They don't do it. They don't fall in love. They're not very human. They're vicious, feral, bloodthirsty, demonic beings, and that's what I really like. And then there's all these like kind of Mr. Walter is he's an American. But he's very like in touch with his Anglo roots. So he has done a lot of research about England, and he places a lot of these like English sites and pieces of history. So there's like he doesn't write like Lovecraft. He's not not even like they're not even like really related because Walter is a very modern style writer, and I don't mean modern as in a derogative way. I mean modern as like he comes from like the school of Hemingway almost, and Lovecraft is a completely different beast. But as far as them being like Anglophile Americans that like express their kind of like their heritage through their storytelling with the inclusion of these English places that they I don't even know if Cyprus has ever been there, but that is a very defining element. And another thing is he expresses his southern heritage because he's a Texan in the Terror of Black Mesa, so he's got a lot of like Amerindian, Mesoamerican kind of folklore in there. You've got a lot of cowboy stuff. So he's a really interesting writer, and I think folks are going to really like his stuff going forward. I like both his stories.
Yeah, in terms of the breastplate one, it's like the armor of Saint Cuthbert and stuff like this. And I actually went to his tomb up in Durham Cathedral. And I was
Is that why you called yourself Cuthbert?
Videos of no.
Is that why you're his son?
Well, I might be. I think the guy's a little bit older than anyone in my immediate family, but yeah, sure. But yeah, I went up to his tomb and I was sending Cyprus videos and stuff. He loved it. What was that? Sorry.
Then he could be a great grandfather.
He could be.
When you're from the area,
he was supposed to be like a Catholic monk or something. So you know,
in Jarrah.
He shouldn't have had any children really, but maybe.
Oh, in them days, they were rather lax with the rules.
Yeah, they were laying pipe.
Jarrow. No, it's Bede. St. Cuthbert went with the Lindisfarne.
Yeah, Lindisfarne, Holy Island and stuff. Yeah, up there. But yeah, he's buried in Durham Cathedral. I went up there. I was sending Cyprus like little videos of the guy's tomb and stuff, and he was very happy with that. Yeah, that's a cool story. That breastplate one, I really like that, and I really want to read more.
I found it didn't really stick with me that after I read it. I don't know, but the Black Mesa one really stuck with me for a long time after. I don't know.
I'm a sucker for my like gothic vampire-y stuff, so I really like that. But yeah, Black Mesa is probably the strongest story overall, to be honest. I really like that. I think the sort of protagonist's way better in that one. Like that guy is just cool. Was it Kit Harrow or something? Is it?
Yeah,
he's a cool guy, man. Like that's a cool guy.
He felt more fleshed out. Yeah, for sure.
He's got more flesh.
And he's probably not going to be bringing that character back, right? Because of the way it ended.
would have to be a prequel, yes.
Yeah.
He ain't coming back.
No.
He gone.
He gone.
Yeah, but that was quite good. So number 2, I would rate The Blood Countess by A. Cuthbertson. I love Count Chorlor.
Me too. I love that character so much.
How do you pronounce it? Chorlor?
Is it Chorlor? Chorlor? Chorlor.
Chorlor. Okay, that sounds better.
Okay, that makes sense. Like, as in chorus, Chorlor. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, he is a fantastic character. He might possibly be my favorite, like, reoccurring character out of all of them. There's something about like him with his like his manservant that is like dead.
It's like kind of sweet but sick at the same time.
It's perfect.
I love that. Yeah. And then like his decisions, like the things he does are very, very questionable, but yeah, in his mind, he thinks it's for like the greater good. So you're like, you don't really know. He's not really like good or bad. Like obviously like you're rooting for him the whole time and he's good like from that perspective, but then everything he does is kind of very questionable.
Well, I mean, he's like an anti-hero, you know?
Yeah. But I really like that character too.
Yeah, he is genuinely trying to save the world there. So I don't think he's an anti-hero in the same sense as like Elric, where like the guy is just kind of on a personal mission and occasionally decides to massacre a load of people to feed his sword or anything. It's
like who?
It's a different kind of vibe. Like he is trying to save the world, but yes, he's completely deranged.
Yeah.
Yeah,
his ways of going about it are very just not necessarily the best way.
Yeah, as I
Very
said, the
pragmatic.
problem in that setting is vampires and stuff and the undead. So his, I think in his mind, raising like a living army of humans isn't really going to work. So he has his own ways of doing it, of turning to the dark arts of necromancy, of course.
I thought it was like it was like a really interesting bromance going on there with him and his like servant man, his manservant and stuff. I thought it was really sweet that he went out through all the trouble to get that ring to destroy his ex-wife so that he didn't have to destroy his best friend. I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
that was a great little bit at the end when you realize what he
yeah.
went through. But it could have been so much easier for him, but like,
Yeah, the end
he
giving
still
up
has.
crossbow. That's his bro. That's his only link with his past. I think it's his only remaining link to humanity, which finds hard to let go of, really.
It's so great, like the way that he's written, where he's like, yeah, he just like clearly still just like loves him so much, but it's so fucked up because he's like he's dead. He
Yeah,
killed
the
him
guy's just like
and he used
staring
him.
straight ahead, like completely dead, and Orlo has all of these like imagined conversations with him and stuff. Like,
Yeah, it's so
the guy's
good.
completely mad. He's went mad. He's done some dog shit. He's digging through corpses and stuff. He's been through some shit, basically. You know what I mean? So he is basically mad as a hatter. He's deranged, but also the hero. So yeah, stay tuned for more on him. He's
I'm very
back in the
excited
next
about that.
issue with the
Yay.
Walking Woods.
Excellent. Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
love it. The world feels so vivid. Like there's, you get a lot. You get a lot of the sense of the world and like the rules and everything in such a short amount of time, and I really love it. Um, is it set in Earth or is it set in like an alternative world?
An alternative world, yeah.
Okay.
Basically, it's all happening on one continent, like the Westerlands, like sort of the westernmost.
Do you have a map of that
I
world?
have one in my head, yes.
You should.
I will at one point get it drawn out.
You
I
should.
think so. I'm not really the most talented artist, so if I was to draw it out, it would look super crude. What I would like to do is maybe find somebody who would be up for drawing me
Well,
an
MS
excellent
Jones,
fantasy map.
he's got a guy who did a map for him. Who was that?
Yeah.
That's my buddy Trollhammer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Trollhammer.
hook a
Oh
brother
yeah, I know
up.
Trollhammer from the chats. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, I can approach that guy. Yeah, sure.
I'd love
Yeah,
to
I
get
think there is a whole world. There's a world beyond the Westerlands too, but like it's kind of, with the whole vampiric apocalypse that's happened, people aren't really. There's no links. Nobody knows what's going on in the next town, really. You know what I mean? Never mind the next continent. So it's kind of centered along this continent. You will probably end up traveling further afield at some point later in the story. But yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, I would love to get like I had suggested this for the last show when that we should have like maps in the beginning of the books for the different worlds. Like I'd like to get a map for Lex's world and also for Berfran's world as well as Count Corlier.
Coralua, yeah.
Yeah, I think
So
that'd be
kind of it just sounded cool. I don't really think I made it to have any deeper meaning. So yes, it just there will be some pronunciation errors because it just kind of was something I
It
turned
is
over
cool,
my head
man.
until it sounded good enough.
Did you make that name up or did you find it?
No, I made it up. I think if you Google that word, it probably won't come up with anything
Nice.
unless Bizarchives is allowed onto the algorithm.
Ah. Well, excellent work. You knocked 2 stories out of the park so far. I'm very excited to see what you got coming up next.
Yeah. Tune in for it. Warping Woods. He goes to some strange woodland, and Prospero's stupidity actually ends up getting him out of a few tangles there. So it's an interesting sort of play on that relationship. Yeah, I hope you enjoy it.
I'm sure I will. All right, and then number 1. Whoops. I accidentally hit my piano and made a loud piano noise in my earbud. Number 1 would be The Weathered Idol by Frozkaz. Now, this
Hell
was
yeah.
definitely the standout story throughout the whole series. I love this one so much. It was so just like vivid and rich, and I just and I love that it was like it was kind of like cut up I wish he was here. He said he was going to try to be here. I'm kind of disappointed he wasn't. But
I've messaged him there. I'm gonna try and nudge him to join. But yeah,
yeah. But I like how it was like split up into like 5 sections. Kind of felt like how Quentin Tarantino does that in his movies. Like several of them, he'll have like 5 chapters, and kind of felt like that. And this felt so it's like a Cajun Louisiana gothic horror story or something like that. I'm not exactly sure how to describe it, but there's something about it that felt so vivid to me. I loved it's just like about a guy who, I don't know, he goes to like the bayou where he grew up, in this like rich weird family of like sorcerers or like voodoo people. I don't know. I'm not exactly.
Voodoo.
Well, I think of voodoo because it's kind of like set in the bayou, and that's what I kind of associate with that area. But I guess like it's not, it's not like a weird, or maybe it is, I don't know, kind of, but it felt like different, obviously, than the typical sort of New Orleans, voodoo stuff that you get. But I don't know, there's something about it that really like stuck in my head. And
it's awesome. Really like Robert E. Howard kind of thing. I think he goes into real detail about like sort of bloodlines and ancients.
Yeah.
Um,
That was my
yeah,
favorite part about it, was it's
Yeah.
very tied to like ancestry and things like that, and like your heritage and what should be what's your birthright and that kind of thing. And that sort of concept isn't really played around with much anymore,
Yeah, it's
So-
very like a Robert E. Howard kind of. Again, I've mentioned it again, but like he's I just thought that was really cool. Like he's sort of what was it, like the ghosts or like the spirits of armies that his sort of ancestors commanded in the past and stuff, and he's sort of bringing them into the fray, and like he's combating their ancestral like armies and stuff at one point. It's crazy. It gets really crazy, that story.
it does,
really
and there's just like so much. He packs so much into such a short time. Like, do we know if he's going to continue this story?
I have strongly recommended that he does because I liked it, and other people seem to like it too, obviously. So I hope that he
Yeah.
does.
Like,
I'm
I
not
would
sure that's
love,
really worked, yeah.
like
Hopefully
out of all the short stories in this one, like this would be the one that I would want to adapt into a short film if I could, the most. And I think it'd be possible if I could find like just a little section in the bayou that we could just film some stuff, and like and a nice house out there or whatever to rent or something like that. I think it'd be pretty feasible. But like there's just something about, you know, that place that I don't know, I just was not expecting to have this story set in the bayou. It was so, it was so different from what I was expecting, but I loved it. I don't know, but I would love to, I don't know, if it were possible someday, maybe I'd try to adapt that into a short story or a short film.
Speaking of adaptations, how's Baby Teeth coming along?
I
Well,
always wondered about that.
yeah.
Not to put you on the spot, maybe a little.
Yeah, it's a learning experience for me because this is the first movie I've made where I've really tried to make something like very serious and artistic, because usually I make something kind of weird and campy and kind of silly. So I'm taking this up to the next level as best as I have my abilities to and my resources, and I have half of it filmed. Um, but due to time constraints and limitations with people's jobs, and just like the fact that it is such a learning experience for me, and what I had thought I could do in the time that I had allotted myself was like way off. um
Sometimes it takes longer than you anticipate, huh?
Life
Oh.
happens.
There's so much more. Like so it's starring Alma Lahar as Mr. Whitaker, which is pretty awesome. I actually got him to fly out. He took a whole week off from work, but we couldn't film that whole time, we could only film over 2 weekends. So we only had 4 days altogether to film due to, my job constraints and also the people I'm working with, their job constraints. So I thought I could get a lot more done in that time, but I had a lot of filming locations that I had to go to because I have a lot of things in mind. Like this, it's gonna be like there's gonna be like a lot of flashbacks. That's gonna take up a big kind of chunk of the story. Is the flashbacks telling the story of Mr. Whitaker's,
But I saw you're going to continue that probably sometime early next year, right?
Yeah, so Alma's going to be flying out again in early January, and we're going to, finish it off. But
Sweet.
Awesome. Yeah, that's exciting.
So real quick, not to interrupt, but I want to just pay tribute to the chat real quick. Hello, King of Vinland. Good to see you. Christopher Webster says, with each new publication, the Bizarchives has maintained not only the quality of production, but has continued to showcase the best in storytelling. That's a really nice comment.
Mr. Webster. He's going to be in the next Bizarchives too.
Awesome.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Kingdom of Vinland says, I don't know if y'all would agree with me, but I think cyberpunk and monsters a la World of Darkness could work quite well together.
Well, it did.
And
World's
Johnny,
Darkness is super cool. Sorry.
oh, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, I really like that.
Johnny Midnight is asking to the publishers, do you accept Twilight Zone style stories? That being stories that have a twist ending with a moral.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
I think the twist ending is going to be like the best kind of short story you can do, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that about covers volume 3. Fantastic set of collection.
And the stories that weren't mentioned are also really awesome and worth reading. I just want to throw that out there too. So,
Sure, and this is just my list,
Thank
Yeah.
you, Hyrus.
Yeah, yeah, there was a kind of a somebody missing from the list.
Yeah. Should have called him gay, bud.
that's what
And I
that's
felt
what it was.
I felt so bad, MS Jones, but like I just your story was like 3 pages long, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I didn't even understand what happened.
That was the twist at the end.
I don't know. I didn't
No,
quite
it was,
get it.
Oh, it's a cool twist. I
I have
understood
to
it.
read it again.
Yeah, yeah, it's
I
good.
guess so.
It's short but
Only
punchy.
2 pages.
But we'll be talking about something that you wrote here in a second. Let's see here. Let's go over some of these solo books now. You got 4 solo books from the authors. We got Spire from A. Cuthbertson.
Hang on,
Bestseller.
Lord Wolfshield. I'm gonna see if I can make you big so that I can see what you're holding up. There we go.
Oh no.
All right, show away.
All right, so we got Spire by A. Cuthbertson. That was the latest one. We
It's his
got
pet.
the mold bug.
Molyptus. Molyptus.
Articulate by Shane Hawks. We got The Shanghai Horror by Abrogast. He did a short story that was also kind of set in Asia in volume 3. So he must really like that area. And then
I think
we
he
got
lived in Asia for a minute.
yeah, I would that's what I kind of got the feeling. And this beauteous masterpiece. We'll get into that a little bit later.
Oh,
but
now you're sucking
With a map. The only one with a map as well.
it
got the
is.
map.
I know. I love that map. I spent so much time looking at that map. You have no idea. Okay, so anyway, let's just talk about Spire quick for a second here, because now I haven't read it, and I don't think Hyreth has read it either yet. But you did have an enormous success with this book recently, didn't you? Why don't you tell us about that, Dave?
Yeah, so Spire is Mr. Cuthbertson's second solo novella with us. His first one being the Cosmic Horror double feature, which actually up until Spire, Cosmic Horror double feature was the best-selling of the non-Bizarchives titles. For the most part, Bizarchives 1, 2, and 3 are our best sellers, and then our other books do well too. But Spire was the double feature was the best selling of the solo ones, and then Cuthbertson comes out with Spire, and Spire like blew out Bizarchives 3 for like a whole month, right?
It was awesome.
It was it shot up through the rankings. It was a bestseller in the UK. It made it to number 12 on the UK list of cyberpunk stories. It was beating out Neuromancer. It was beating out Philip K. Dick books. Like, it went to number 12
That's
in
awesome.
all of the UK for cyberpunk. So it was a bestseller. Some of our other books have gone into like top 50, top 20 and stuff before, but this is the highest ranking one so far. It's a really great novella. It's a great story. It's a lot of action. A lot of people really liked it. It's very bite-sized. We went with a more simple cover design for it. I think people appreciated like the color scheme and like all that's behind it. And there's just, I don't think really there's getting a book that like to making one of your books blow up is like a combination of different things, right? It's you got your cover art, you got obviously the story quality, like all the word of mouth and all that goes into it. But there's also I think a little bit of a luck, right? There's a little bit of like a you have to hit a current of luck, and
lightning in a bottle, kind of.
Spire hit lightning in a bottle on it. A lot of people picked it up and wrote little Substack articles about it and recommended it, and then it blew up and it did really, really well. And I'm very proud of Mr. AC for his success. He really crushed it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you to anyone listening who bought a copy as well. Thank you to everyone here, because it wouldn't have sold so much without you sharing it on your channels and stuff as well. Brendan Hurd shared it on his. Even had people like Morgoth sharing it, which helped a lot.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it did really well. Yeah, I saw it doing the rounds on Telegram for quite a while after it released. So yeah, I'm super happy about it.
That's
There's
awesome.
a lot of fun. If you haven't read it yet, I recommend picking up a copy. It's yeah.
Do you want to talk about what it's about, or what?
It's kind of like it's a little bit of a, I know we said it's bite-sized, it's like it's a short novella, but like it's quite a slow burn and mystery thing, really. You don't really know what's you don't know what's happening until the last sort of quarter or something. You don't know like
I went to look how many pages it had. It doesn't have page numbers on it.
Yeah, there's the first something happened. That was actually my fault with the layout. So the first that it got posted didn't have page numbers.
Ooh, so this is like a collectible.
I got the rare misprint.
I got like a super like collectible edition that's gonna be worth money. Awesome.
That's
I need
cool.
to get you to sign it.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like fairly slow burning mystery. Like someone finds something wrong on a day at work. Very like sort of a disgruntled employee who's kind of strung out on amphetamines, so he's kind of losing it anyway. And things just start going wrong and wrong and wronger as a result of something he finds at his job. And it turns into a bit of a crazy story, really. Like a bit of a powder keg setting off the city he lives in, sort of descending into riots and stuff, kind of maybe as a result of what he's found, maybe not. Like, and he's just trying to dig through the mystery, really, while this like city's basically like collapsing around him. And and obviously it's just really fast moving, lots of action. He's kind of strung out on speed the entire time, so he makes some poor snap decisions and stuff. You know what I mean? It's good fun to read. Kind of nut job protagonist, and
and the ending's weird too.
Yeah, really weird. Yeah, it goes a bit like weird fiction, cosmic horror kind of stuff at the end. I hope people pick it up. I hope people enjoy that.
Sweet. Nice. I'll have to get that one.
Yeah,
I don't have that one yet.
I'll try to read that one next, I think.
99 pages. Just counted them.
You just counted all the pages by hand?
Yep.
1, 2.
Nice. You got the misprint too then.
The pacing of the story was something I really appreciated too, because it kind of made you as the reader feel like you were also on stimulants. It was a very adrenaline fueled story.
Yeah. There's only like plenty of references to his jaw grinding and stuff, and he's like, "Is it the drugs? Nah, it's not the drugs." And then his jaw grinding. He's like, "Nah, I'm nah." Like he's he's obviously very obsessive about certain things. And it's like, yeah, quite clearly the drugs. Yeah, good fun. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds like good time, I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
It's lots
I've
of pure
never.
stamp decisions, you
I
he
don't.
fights somebody in a bar, things like this, or someone just like kind of insults him, and it's not really anything, but like he's kind of losing it and he's strung out, so he just like absolutely decks the guy, and then he's being chased around. Like, it's good fun, good bit of mischief, a lot of misbehavior.
Nice. I think we'll talk about this one next, the Mencius Moldberg Articulus by Shane Hawks. Now, I did not read this one, but Hyrith did. So I don't know if you want to talk about what you thought about that one.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. Is it pronounced the Molyptus?
It's the Molyptus articulate.
Molyptus. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Does at any point does he say it's Morbin time in this book?
No.
I thought it was great. It's like, I'm trying to think of, there's a lot of, it's sort of like a detective kind of story starting out, and then there's definitely some Lovecraftian elements towards the second half, and there's also some kind of occult type things that pop up, and I just thought it was really well written. I'm not really sure what to say about it because I don't want to give anything away. I think people should totally read it. It's really well written, and
Thank you.
yeah, I really enjoyed it. Are you planning on writing any more novels like this?
Yeah, there's a couple things in the works currently. Most recently, I've been focusing on a short story that may or may not ever see the light of day, depending on our Bizarchives overlord Dave. But yeah, the Molyptus Articulate was just an absolute passion project of mine. I'm head over heels Lovecraft enthusiast.
Yeah, it was cool. I liked a lot of the imagery. That there's some like body horror imagery, though, like with the woman at the inn. That part where that's probably my favorite part of the book, where he walks in that room and she's like,
yeah,
she's
fully.
in there. There's like some really crazy shit that goes on in there. I don't want to give it away because I think everybody should read it. But then he's like, I need to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Yeah, I look forward to reading more.
Thank you.
More from you.
The Molyptus is the only book we had where people like messaged me, like not complaining, but saying they couldn't finish it because it was too disturbing.
Yeah, well,
Oh, wow.
actually, that's what made me want it. I was like, oh my gosh, I got to figure out I want to know what happens,
More than disturbing than like bashing somebody's legs.
Yeah, it's
It
the
gets
Molyptus. Go ahead, Shane.
it gets grim and dark and really weird in places. There's a lot of graphic body horror imagery. Things are injuries are very descriptive in the story.
Oh boy.
A lot of mishaps befall the main character, Edmund Jameson. But it's all to sort of heighten the depth of the narrative.
Yeah, and I think it works out. It works really well in that regard. I'd actually love to see how an illustrator would draw some of these scenes and this imagery that you create, because the description's very vivid.
It would certainly be interesting to. I've had that thought myself to see what an illustrator would do if they took the imagery that's been described in the story and translated into artwork, and see how accurately it aligns with my original notion for what it would look like.
Yeah,
it would be very interesting.
Yeah, we had and most of it was where I think there were like older ladies or something like that. That's kind of like the tone that I don't think a guy would like, want to mess. Hey man, your book scared me too much. I don't think a guy would feel too too gay doing that.
I
But
might be.
but I had a lady tell me, she said she's very sorry. She supports the Bizarchives and she generally loves all of our stuff. And she said, although she felt that the Molyptus Articulate was well written, it was far too disturbing for her to finish. And then it gave her nightmares. And like, all this
Well, given the type of story that it is, that's actually quite a compliment.
that's what he's going for.
Yeah.
Perfect review. That's get it to write that on Amazon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Say you need that review in writing.
I'd
Yeah,
love to have that on the Amazon.
But yeah, it is a pretty disturbing. There's some imagery in there that is really bizarre and surrealist, and there's like one scene where there's like a big room full of human cocoons, and then there's the end is like it's like so gross and weird, and the lighthouse sequence, the last sequence in the book, the last act, where he goes to the lighthouse and there's the cultists and there's that weird cultist with the beak that comes out of his head, and then inside the beak there's a tongue, and his arm goes in and comes out and it's rotten flesh, and like there's people that are like melting and turning into monsters.
Yeah.
And then like the sky opens up and
Yeah, it gets wild. It gets really wild.
Oh my god.
And honestly, the whole concept of the Molyptus Articulate is like ode to Dave pushing me to try my hand at cosmic horror. It was never something I had thought to write, and he thought I'd be good at it, and then the Molyptus Articulate was born. So thank you, Dave, for pushing me out of my comfort zone.
yeah, you're
Now,
welcome.
now, one of the things I loved about the short story that you wrote, Baby Teeth, was the emotional core to the story.
Yeah.
Do you have any of that in this one? Is there like an emotional core to this one as well? Or is there just kind of like mayhem and death and sadness?
Well, no, it's definitely more in the vein of the beginning of the story is more of a mystery that's being pursued. You do really sort of get a feel for the main character, the private investigator Edmund Jameson, and you sort of begin to understand that he's a man that's kind of trying to live a simple life, coping with PTSD from being in the war and seeing a lot of grotesque things. And he's kind of just trying to live a quiet, minimalist life while still utilizing the skills he has. And he just kind of stumbles into something that is way beyond anything he was ever prepared for or could be prepared for.
Yeah, and then there's like throughout the whole story, there's kind of he experiences a tragedy as a kid, and that like haunts him the whole time. So yeah, it is actually a very moody story. It's not just blood and guts and gore and mayhem.
Yeah, there's some backstory for sure on the main character.
Yeah,
Very nice.
it's
So,
not a Martell story.
So I may or may not ever get around to reading that. I don't necessarily have the constitution for extremely grotesque things.
You're not a big horror fan, though. You're more sci-fi fantasy, right?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, no, I like horror, but I like I don't like the gruesome stuff. I don't like slashers. Or like the Saw movies or torture porn. I don't know. I like more of like the psychological stuff. Kind of like Hereditary is my favorite horror movie. You know, that one's kind of a little bit violent, but it's not too terribly bad. Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, moving on. I want to talk about this guy. I actually just finished this last night. But
That's another one that's on my list of books I need to buy.
It should be on the top.
It should be, because it's, oh my god. So I was so excited. This was by far the Bizarchives thing I was most excited about. I was like basically messaging like bothering Dave and and MS Jones like every week. When's this coming out? When's this coming out? Like it was like never ending for the longest time, and then finally released it. And man, it lived up to everything I could have possibly wanted out of this. It was fantastic. I loved it so much. So it's an epic fantasy. You know, it's kind of in the vein of you know, if you've ever read an epic fantasy, then you kind of know what it's about. We got here
one of
one of the
them.
most beloved things I've ever seen. This map. I love a map in the beginning. Like I don't buy.
That's such a weird thing to get excited about.
He does. He's gone on about maps before, and he is very passionate about maps and stories.
I basically like. I'm always like. I only buy fantasy books, and like if I go to the fantasy section, I pull out a fantasy book. Like the first thing I do is like, I look for a map. If there's not a map, I put it back. I don't buy it.
You're like, it's a deal breaker.
But if there's a map, it is a deal breaker for me. And I love this map. I went back and like as I'm reading it, I'm always flipping back to the map as soon as I hear like a location or something. I always flip back. I did find it kind of frustrating because it's not the full map. Now Jones, he was very nice. He actually sent me the full map like in a DM, so that was actually quite nice because there are locations talked about that are not on the map, and I was like kind of frustrated. I kept flipping. I'm like, where is it? Where is it? I was kept trying to find it on the map, and it was like it was rubbing my autism wrong. and I asked MS Jones about that, and he sent me the full map, which was very, very nice of him. But yeah, I mean, like. Just like the first chapter of this book, like it sets into motion, you know, this chain of events. Like everything about the first chapter, it was like perfect. Like I loved the first chapter. It's like this guy, he's like the main character's name is Marius, and he's like a watchman, I guess. Is that right?
Yeah,
Or
he's
night
a
watch or something?
former shoulder, and he's like a fantasy policeman.
Yeah,
But he
essentially.
takes the job seriously, whereas most of the other ones don't.
Yeah, so he's kind of the Serpico, I guess, Serpico of the city. Or no, right? That
Yep.
cop, that Al Pacino movie, yeah. An Unbreakable. No, what's the word I'm looking for? Untouchable? Yeah. Anyway, it's hello, Frozkaz.
Welcome.
Number one with a bullet.
Yeah, did you hear anything earlier about did you listen to any of the show earlier?
Frostgas, you got
Oh,
number
no.
one. We can't hear you if you're talking.
Oh no. You might have to set up. You might have to go into the settings and make sure your audio and headphone stuff is working right, connected properly. Cuz we can't hear you. Yeah. Well, anyway, so yeah, and then by the time like you get to the end of the first chapter, it just like blew my mind. Like I was not
Hello.
expecting. Oh, yes, hello.
He speaks.
It is alive.
Okay, sorry about that.
Welcome.
Toilet.
Thank you. Yeah, no, sorry, I was a bit busy. But no, I didn't catch what was going on earlier.
I did like a top 5 countdown of my favorite stories from Bizarchives Volume 3, and the Weathered Idol was number 1 for me. That was the breakout
Okay.
story. I really love that one. I think most people kind of agreed with that.
Thank you very much. Yeah, appreciate it. Sorry, I didn't mean to completely derail
Oh, that's all
sacred
good.
times or anything.
Do you have plans to continue with that character in that world?
I'm not actually sure. I mean, I've sort of, because I've got some other stuff going on, where I've already had some vague references to that guy, but I feel like it's such an alt history kind of thing for me that if I was going to continue that one, I'd have to really go hard on it. I guess I'd have to do some entire world building.
I think
might do some.
I think it's ripe for it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. If that's what people want, I guess I can.
Do you
Let's see how it goes.
do you have any other short stories you're planning on publishing through Bizarchives that's not connected to that?
Well, I
Is
was
it-
currently working on trying to get a collection of folk horror stories, like
you're
5 or so into a sort of novella, and then see if Dave wants to publish that or
That would be cool.
whatnot. Yeah, I was going to call it Horror from the Folk. I've got 4 of the settings established already. 1 almost done, and then just need 1 more.
That sounds cool.
I dig that. That sounds like it could be really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually got the idea from it when me and Mr. Cuthbertson were hanging out down his ends, actually. So it was kind of fun.
Nice.
Yeah, man, that'll be good. I'm looking forward to that. You have a couple of stories in a Toadstool magazine as well, don't you?
Yeah, everyone
guess
get
nothing
Toadstool in.
Yeah, man.
I was up at like 4 in finishing
Yeah,
one
thank
for
you
the
very much for that.
new edition.
Yeah.
No worries.
Do you have a copy of that Toadstool magazine, Hyrith?
Do you want to get to it later? We've derailed MS Jones so much.
I
like-
do, but I don't
yeah,
have
let's
it
go.
like in the room with me right now.
Or
I
maybe you
could go
can
grab
get
it.
that later. We could talk about that later at the end
Yeah,
or
maybe
whatever.
later. I want
Because
to talk about Sacred Times because I actually finished it myself on a flight.
awesome.
On a couple of flights actually back and forth from Italy, and I was very enthusiastic about it too.
Oh, it's so
it
good.
It heats up so much towards the end, doesn't it? Like the guys just man,
It's
yeah.
like the first chapter. It's like you're kind of wondering like where is this going? Is this, what? And then like once you get to the end of the first chapter, it like kicks into high gear and it does not stop. Like
Yeah.
there's this like crazy momentum to the story that that just stays throughout till the very last word. And then it
Yeah.
leaves you like just like no, I need more. I need
like
more
the,
right now.
the thread of like mystery as well through the whole thing. Like something's obviously seriously wrong with the gods they're worshipping, like the spiritual aspect of it. Like either they've got something wrong, or the gods are doing something wrong, or something like that. And
Yeah, the
really keeps it going throughout the whole
cosmology.
thing. Really evocative. There's like atrocities being committed by like these
Yeah,
people that are
the
supposed to be
the
well
co-
respected. You're like, what is this about? And then I think the Dolmen Downs chapter was my favorite one, and the mercenary camp. Just thought they were like such cool. So it's when they're like in a marsh bog kind of land, and they witness an atrocity, and then they go and challenge the guy, and
Yeah,
they
that
end
was a
up being
lot of
like
fun.
subjected to a trial and stuff.
Yeah,
It's so
they
like evocative.
try. They
I
go
was
to
there, man.
the
I was
gunmaster.
there reading
They
that.
like
It was
run
so
over.
cool.
Yeah, that was so much fun. That was so good. Yeah, and the characters are so vivid, and like I love the interplay between like the man of faith and the man of I guess he's not necessarily not a man of faith, but because he believes in the gods, he just doesn't like them. It's very fascinating character stuff, and the young noble, that character
Florian.
was great.
Yeah.
And
I'm thinking back because he leaves, but I missed him. So I had to bring him
I
back.
know I was so disappointed that when he left, I was like, "What? Why would you do this to me, Marcus?"
He has to have a suitably glorious return. I hope has to be
Oh, he
yeah.
does, yes.
Incredible. Can't wait to read that.
Yeah, I can't wait for the next edition. Like when now I'm gonna be hounding you every day about that.
Well, I offered you to be a beta reader.
Oh,
but you
that's
told
right.
me
Yeah, you did, and I did reject that because I actually wanted to like experience it, like hold it in my hands and experience like the final copy. Just because I feel like it wouldn't be quite the same experience to read as a beta reader.
But it's actually 99% complete because Dave suggested that we split what was volume 1 into 2 parts. So Sacred Times Part 1 is the first half of Sacred Times, and the second part was written at the same time. So
So
is-
so how many How many books are you thinking there's going to be in the series?
There are 8 now. Originally there were 4, but
Okay,
I'm
and
gonna follow the.
you're gonna split them all in half then.
Yeah, It's easier now because the other ones were not completely finished, and so it's easier to find a place where I can move on to the next one. But I had to do a rewrite in the middle, so the end of Sacred Times Part 1 was sort of not an afterthought, but I made things happen that hadn't happened so early previously. See what I mean? So it was like there's a major rewrite at the end, and that meant that I had to rewrite the end of Part 2 as well. But apart from that, it's I did continue the whole series, 8 books. I mean, I haven't finished the 8, but I've got the final chapters written already.
Oh,
I know what
the
happens.
final chapter of the final book?
Yeah.
Oh, dang, nice. So
That's
how long?
such an accomplishment. That's awesome.
So you have the whole thing mapped out. Like, how long have you been like mapping this story out in your head then?
I would say I started writing when my daughter was born, and she's 18 now. So.
Oh, wow.
Wow. That's
It's a
incredible.
long time coming in,
Yeah.
and I get that feeling that you have fleshed this world out for sure because
Oh,
it
yes.
feels so vivid, it feels so real, it feels there's just so much going on. There's like just little details of world building that just like tickle my fancy. Like in the beginning, there's something about this society of like the worm, or like what is that called?
The Void worshippers.
No, not the Void Worship. They're like in the beginning, like the worm, like the
Oh,
society.
the Watchers.
What?
No?
Like the one that like that he found out Aaron was a part of. That he had like a tattoo where he had a bag with the dragon on
Oh
it.
yeah. That's just like a criminal gang, the Red Worm. Yeah.
The red worm, right? Yeah, but it just just little details like that just made the world feel so much bigger and vivid.
I liked how the protagonist was like ex-military, and he's got loads of insight about the campaigns that different legions were sent on and stuff, and he's got his insights as to why wars happen, and yeah, I really like that aspect to it.
Yeah, definitely. Did you have you ever read like Brandon Sanderson before?
I've tried, but
You didn't care for
never
it?
got through them.
Hmm.
I just didn't have the time. Like
Right, yeah.
I'm agreeing with Dave that you need to cut them up because I used to read Lord of the Rings every year, once a
Oh,
year,
yeah?
and loved the Chronicles of Thomas Covenant, David Edding, this kind of stuff when I was younger. But now, I can't face these big tomes anymore.
Yeah, I pretty much just like buy these really books and then these really big, thick hardcovers and then never read them. Kind of how it ends up. But I read this one for sure. It was fantastic. I would say I was trying to think like what author would you be kind of like up there with? And I was thinking like I would kind of rank you with like Robert Jordan, I think you definitely rank as high as Robert Jordan in your writing. Did you ever get into The Wheel of Time?
I did. I read about the first 3 or 4, and he got on into his woman's
Yeah,
magic and this kind of stuff. And
that's
the
about
first
all
one,
I read as well. 3 or 4.
I mean, the first one it was like Lord of the Rings, but moved along a bit. So I was just sitting there going, "Oh, so then that's cool. That's Gollum, he's Frodo." You know what I mean? And I was just, I appreciate. I was inspired by Tolkien myself, but I thought don't want anyone to notice.
I didn't really get any token stuff in this one. Like there was not
Because
really
it's all in the background. It's all in the world. You know what I mean? I've got my version of the Silmarillion,
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
I kind of
all
wanted to
this kind of stuff.
pick your brain about the cosmology of this world because it kind of got a little bit confusing because there's the first, there's the Imperator, there's the incumbent, there's the Justicarians. I was like, oh my god, this is I need this laid out and explained or something like
I can send you a map if you want.
you should, yeah. Can you just kind of go through kind of the kind of basic idea of what the cosmology of this world is?
Well, it's at the start of each chapter, you've got a little quote from in book Bible, I suppose.
Yeah, I thought that was really
In the
cool.
beginning was the first being who was called the monad, and then he split into two,
And that's the
and
first.
you get a yin yang. No, not yet. You get kind of a yin yang feeling, and then through that splitting, you get time and space, and then within the space, you get a fourfold symbology, and then there's the 4 elements, and each of them elements was represented with who later become the Justicars, and each
So
of
the
the 4
Justicars,
elements of the Justicars.
and then like Leighton Raw and them, they're the Justicars.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
But you had there were. I don't. It's a bit spoily to tell you the full cosmology, but there were 4 gods, each representing the elements and the seasons and whatever, and each of them created 3 helper beings to help them. And then they basically went around and like pacified the world and made everything great and did great deeds and stuff. And then they had like a brother war, and they started fighting each other. And that was like thousands of years ago. And as part of that, the world was destroyed, and the people sort of left alone. So they chose the incumbent, who was like a mortal, but he represented the one true God, if you like. But
So he's kind of like the Pope, would you say? Kind of similar.
it's not really anything. It's just a symbolic figure. I mean, spoilers again. He doesn't actually do anything apart from parade through the streets.
Yeah.
He's literally a figurehead.
Yeah.
But it harks back to millennia ago, where their god was actually a god who walked amongst them and created vast works and conquered the world. That's the thing. So they're in a position where they rule the world because of him, and they've been there for thousands of years, and then boom, suddenly everything changed. So, like, everyone's doubting everything. It's like, is it really a benevolent God if he lets this kind of thing happen? And it's actually happening.
Right. Yeah.
But
No.
it'll. I'd rather have this discussion at the end when all the books have come out, because a lot of it is in the Revelation. I mean, the 4th series of books is called Times of Revelation, where I get more into it. Because you have basically what's happening in the present time within the books is analogous with what happened in the Bible, and so the people are sort of, like mortals are thrown into the roles that were previously done by God. So you're thinking, well, are they really gods because we're doing the same stuff? And
yeah, they're literally in the end times, and that's
it is. Yeah,
it makes it very fascinating. Very like, oh my, what's gonna
the
happen?
series is the sacred times, times of war, times of revelation, and then the end time.
So the last 2 parts is called the end times.
Yeah,
very nice.
That's
Oh, I'm so excited.
What do the kids say? Kino.
It's so Kino for sure. I loved it. Did anybody else read any of the Sacred Times?
I'm going to.
Yeah, I finished it, and yeah, I do really like it. I think
I'm really excited to read it, especially after hearing you guys talk so much about it. Talking it up.
Read the first chapter. Make sure you read like the first chapter, and if you're
I wouldn't just not read the first chapter.
What I'm saying is that, force yourself to read the first chapter, and once you get to the end of the first chapter, if you're not hook, line, and sinker into the story and the world, and wanting to know what's going to happen, then I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
No, I'm sure it's great. MS Jones, you're an incredibly talented writer, and I can't believe that you've spent that long building this world in your head. So I definitely want to check that out. I think it's also smart to split it into like to do 8 books versus 4. I think that's a wise move for sure. So you can probably get them out a little faster, gives people like something to feast on for a little while, and then you can, you know, hopefully it'll be more lucrative for you guys that way as well.
Maybe you could get to like book 6 and then just stop writing them and not release the last couple.
Oh God, no! You better not George R. R.
That
Martin
would be
this,
cool.
bro.
Hold people hostage. If they want the ending, they're gonna have to pay up.
Yeah, you work on a TV series of the prequel. Yeah, good idea.
No. Oh man, I would be so mad. But yeah, oh my God, like if you ever are able to make this into a movie, if you need a director, I don't know, like this would need a huge budget. I don't know. I don't think it'd be really possible in this at this time. But if we were to somehow raise the funds to make it, oh my God, that'd be so awesome. But yeah, probably not anytime.
You do the first chapter.
Yeah, but that would be a lot of money, just the first chapter.
Need a
And
ton
can,
of extras like for the crowd.
So many extras and that huge thing
Crowd
that
scenes, yeah.
the incumbent is on.
Do it all in computers these days.
Yeah, but you got to get people to actually do that though.
And all these books we're talking about can be found on the bizarchives.com. I'm going to just post the link anyways in the chats for you guys listening. And Olivia Keys in the chat. Hey, Olivia.
Hey,
Good to
Olivia.
see you. And we were talking about Toadstool Magazine. So yeah, me and Olivia, if you don't know this, we do a show called Ivory Hour, and we had A. Cuthbertson joining us for episode 13, I believe it was, and we talked all about Toadstool Magazine. So I'll also post the link for that if anyone's interested in checking that episode out. So yeah.
Yeah, please do. That was a fun chat.
Yeah, it was very comfy.
Can you go get the magazine quick? I kind of want to see what it looks like.
I can't because it's actually in the room with a sleeping puppy, and if
Oh no!
which is my kitchen, and if I go in my kitchen right now, my puppy will wake up and start howling.
Okay. Fair enough.
She's not wearing
Whimpering
any
and-
pants as well, so she can't stand up.
What was that?
She's not wearing any pants, so she can't stand up.
Oh yes,
I
that too.
I do that sometimes.
Pants, trousers.
I'll do live streams with no pants sometimes. But
That's only.
I'm wearing extra pants right now.
extra pants.
Too many pants.
Yeah, I was about to say
Disgusting
it's too cold to not wear pants. It's like it was cold here this morning, very cold.
Dave's not taking any chances on the pants situation.
Doubling up.
All right. So Hirath, we had a few questions we wanted to do, kind of like a quick, I guess, round table. I'll ask my question first because it's kind of dumb and it's not as smart as the one that Hirath came up with. But I want to ask. So if you guys could cast any actor in the in whatever the world or whatever to play your sort of iconic main character of your story, who would it be? So like Dave, who would you cast? Like A. Cuthbertson, Count Chorler, MS Jones, Marius. I'm not sure about Shane Hawks. So I guess just because I haven't really read your
Edmund
So
Jameson.
Edmund, yeah.
yeah.
Ooh.
I don't know. Does anybody have anything in mind? Anybody wanna go
I know
first?
the guy, but I'm so terrible with actor names that I'm going to spend a minute like trying to find.
What
the
was he
guy's
in?
name. Man, don't ask me. I'm so terrible with films. Right, I'm gonna go on mute and go and find the guy. I'll be somebody
Okay.
else.
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
I made easy. I think Marius would be Clint Eastwood.
Well, and what?
Clint Eastwood / Harrison Ford.
So like a young
Like,
Clint Eastwood.
not really. He's about 30. You know, he's had a life. He's a
Yeah,
veteran
okay.
soldier, and
So that's
people in the world don't live that long.
Is that kind of who you imagine when you're writing it?
I did at the beginning. Had Clint Eastwood in my
Eastwood.
head. Yeah,
It's an interesting choice.
it's like you hear from the Sergio Leone things, but a bit more talkative.
Right.
It's just like, don't put up with any shit and seen all before, and oh, here we go again. But got to keep your mouth shut because of the situation he's in terms of the hierarchy and stuff. So, a mix of Clint Eastwood and Harrison Ford.
Okay. And just so everyone knows, they can pick me also.
Lord Wolfshield, I think he could play Forian, I think.
Oh no! What does that
I
say
think-
about me?
I think if I were to say someone for Edmund Jameson, it would either be John Cusack or Edward Norton.
I could see that.
Nice.
I could see Edward Norton for sure. I don't know about. I'm just not a fan of John Cusack because he blocked me on Twitter.
What? He blocked you on Twitter? What did you do to
It
him?
was it was not my high Earth account. It was an old account, but I don't know. I didn't post anything at him. I think I was just on some sort of block list.
Wow.
Sure, you weren't spurging out. We've all spurged out. It's fine.
What about you,
Yeah, I think,
Dave? I'm very curious. Like, if you could, like, who would you cast if you could cast anyone for Lex?
For Lex, does it
Yeah.
have to be somebody like in the present time, or can I pick somebody like?
Anybody from any time. Yeah.
I would take a young Glenn Jacobs, the guy that plays the Kane, the wrestler
Kane?
Kane.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. I'm gonna look this up, Glenn.
The wrestler Kane back when he used to have long hair.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh. Okay. Interesting. Big, meaty, kind of ugly man.
Yep. Big,
be a
meaty,
good-
ugly man with crazy hair.
I can see that.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm googling him now. Yeah.
All right, Cuthbertson. Did you find him?
I can't. Well, I think like Anthony Hopkins in super old man mode, like maybe currently how he looks now. Needs to be someone like genuinely old and decrepit. You know what I mean? Needs to be someone like wearing a robe, no teeth.
Do you think?
the whole-
Oh, I didn't imagine him so old as a character. I imagined him a lot younger. But
No, he's fairly like hunched and decrepit. Yeah,
oh,
I would think that. There's somebody else I'm thinking of too, but it's a write-off. It took me so long to find Anthony Hopkins, and he's so famous. He was in Silence of the Effing Lambs.
You couldn't.
Yeah, I know. I'll leave it there.
You couldn't think of a single movie that Anthony Hopkins was in.
No, over the frost, guys. Thank you.
I
yeah.
was honestly kind of at a loss for this one, but the character was kind of not based on, but I had like a sort of Solomon Kane, Van Helsing kind of. Anyone seen that Van Helsing film from?
So Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman in Van Helsing, but not anything else.
Okay.
And then whoever played Solomon Kane, maybe. But I feel like I have a better, because he has like a sort of sidekick. Not a sidekick. I mean, a guy who does what he's told. I think it's Clayton something or other. And I feel like him, I would definitely have as like Dolph Lundgren or someone. But that side character is a bit more fleshed out in my mind than the main character.
Yeah, definitely. I could see Hugh Jackman. I think that really fits into perfectly how I was imagining, him, the character, and his world, and kind of wearing exactly like what he's wearing in Van Helsing. I think that fits perfectly into it. Cuthbertson, I'm curious, like, who would you cast for his undead manservant?
I have no idea.
You keep putting him on the spot.
Oh no! Yeah. I shouldn't have
Someone
asked him
like
'cause
tall, but potentially like fucking
I-
John Malkovich or something. I don't know.
John
In
Malkovich.
like green, horrible, pasty, dead man makeup with
That's
one
quite
eye
the
and
choice.
all that. Yeah.
So Anthony Hopkins and John Malkovich. That
Yeah.
would make a hell of a movie, I think.
They're playing those characters, it would, yeah. John Malkovich would be quite good at just staring straight ahead, not saying anything, I think. Yeah, that'd be quite good.
Hey
Um,
guys, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm gonna have to bail out of here a little early. My parental duties are calling.
Gotcha.
So
Well, thanks
No
for
worries.
stopping by. It was nice to actually talk to you, Shane Hawk.
Yeah, thanks for
Likewise.
joining us.
absolutely, it was a pleasure. Thank you for having me. It was great to talk to everyone.
We'll see you.
Yeah.
Okay, mate.
All
Have a
right,
good night.
guys, have a good one as well. See ya.
See
It's
ya.
been a pleasure. See you later.
MS
So if I was
Jones.
making a film, I'd have to rewrite it and find a role for Liz Hurley, I think.
Elizabeth Hurley. There wasn't really any female characters in this story, was there?
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah.
There are.
So I just want to who would you cast for
the-
Liverin
was-
and Forian then?
Liverin. Oh. Maybe a young Michael York.
Ooh, okay. That's good.
You know,
That'd be a
it's
great
like,
casting.
like wide-eyed innocence. Forian, I don't know. It's like you. You're the most rakish person I know. So
Rakish. What does that word mean?
rakish.
I'm gonna look that up.
Oh no.
Dashing, jaunty, or slightly disreputable quality or appearance. I'll take it. All right. Thank you. All right, we can move on to Hirat's questions. You had
I'm just gonna I'm not gonna go with any of the questions that I had talked to you about. I'm just gonna go with one question that's totally relevant and something that I really am curious about. And it's just basically, in what ways would you say you've grown as a writer since getting involved with the Bizarchives, and how has it impacted you? That is my biggest question for all of you.
Don't everybody start talking at once.
Go first.
I'll start.
You know, I always feel bad because I feel like I talk over everybody and like I take up too much space and like all this kind of stuff. And then I try to let everybody talk, and it's always just like, you know,
No, for me, it was a huge life-changing experience because I finally got published. You know,
Well,
I've
yeah,
been
that's
writing
awesome.
for decades, and I was attending all of the, the mainstream publishing conferences and sending off letters to agents and to publishers and just running into a brick wall. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I'm so glad you finally got published too, because like all of you guys are such gems as far as like writers are concerned, and it's important that you guys get published and get put out there, because I know publishing is super paused these days too. So I know it's hard to like make it in that with like these major publishers and stuff, and to be like to get a chance at that. So it's nice to do some grassroots publishing,
They're literally saying they do not read submissions from straight white men.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you want to publish? Forget about it.
What a tragedy. We could have, unless Dave had done this, we could have been bereft of the sacred times.
Yeah.
And the world
Yeah, we would be so
world
deprived of so many good
the world would be poor.
That's
Stories.
fun to be had with fake names there if they don't want straight white men. I'm sure we could think up of some funny ass names, but
Jamal Jackson.
You can't even do that. There was some guy won a poetry competition and he used an Asian name, and when he turned up to get the prize, they just disqualified him.
What? Really?
shame.
Okay, I have
It's
another.
definitely changed my life as well. I'll not go on and on about it, but yes, it's awesome. Like my life is cooler now as a result of this.
Would you guys say that it has influenced your writings now? Like just reading each other's stuff and maybe the peer review aspect, does it have any influence on the stuff you write nowadays? Or do you still feel like you go to a different place and you're able to write just like you were before? Does that make sense? The way I'm framing that.
Yeah, I mean, getting anybody to read anything you've written is kind of like pulling teeth. I wish Shane was still here for that reference, but yeah.
Right.
It's really hard, like getting people to edit it and stuff as well, and getting people to give feedback, especially, is kind of nutty. So it's a real privilege to be part of a little circle like this, even if it's just you and a few guys. Like, I thoroughly recommend anybody who is trying to get into writing, like, just maybe does it with a few friends and stuff, and you can peer review each other's work and check each other's spellings and stuff, and suggest different things. Like, yeah, absolutely. There's stuff I've written which people really enjoy that I wouldn't have written if I wasn't part of this. I mean,
Oh, that's
literally,
awesome.
I didn't know what biopunk was. I'd never heard of it. We ended up staying up late chatting about it, and then I wrote that Screaming Circuit story. Like, that wouldn't exist without these guys on the call.
Oh, that's so
All
cool.
sorts of stuff. Dave encouraged me to write Count Corolla after I submitted the first one. He said, "This is cool. Write more." I was like, "Yeah, okay, I will."
You can't argue with Dave.
No.
Nope.
You should. I think he said something like you should really go ham on this character and write like an entire novel's worth of stuff. You should just like keep writing Count Corolla stories. And I was like, well, thanks very much. That's
I
very
agree.
encouraging, and I will. And I am doing that. So yeah, great. Yeah,
I'm
in
really
terms
good
of
at like
Toadstool
bullying
magazine,
people into doing stuff that they like and stuff they're going to be good at.
yeah.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Well,
We
In terms
need
of
more.
Toadstool magazine, that would not exist without everyone. Basically everybody on this call and a few more from the Bizarchives too. Like, everybody's. I think everybody on this call has stories in there and stuff. So yeah, it's definitely
Absolutely.
changed my life.
Yeah, for me, I mean, the Sand King's Curse and Bizarchives number 3, which nobody liked. But that was written after
I
the
felt so
Two
bad.
Lords Dreaming. But that had such a response. I thought, I have to do more about that. And since then, I'm like developing a series of short stories about that. So I've written 2 more.
Okay.
Like
Oh,
in the
that's
same
awesome.
universe.
Will
But,
they be better
the Two Lords
than
Dreaming was one of
the one in Fallout 4?
I liked it.
It was a good story. Like
It was a good story. Lord Worshill's just being
I think
crazy.
you're just being too grug-brained. I think
He didn't
go
understand
read
it.
it again.
I just I didn't get it.
There's a
but-
lot packed into those
Yeah.
3 pages.
Yeah, it really is.
But like,
There really
listen,
is. I
like,
wasn't being sarcastic.
The first one, what the Sand King Dune Dream Lords or whatever it's called.
Two Lords Dreaming, yeah.
Yeah, that's still like my all-time favorite Bizarchives short story. Like it was.
Yeah, but the
still-
Sand King's Curse is the background to the June Lords Dreaming.
Yeah, I kind of got that, but I kind of
Yeah.
did not really.
didn't get
I actually wasn't sure if it was in the same world or not.
You must have been in a weird headspace when you were
After-
reading that one.
I have to write that in big letters for
Also,
you.
there was.
Steve.
I'm too rakish to understand it, I guess.
Be flippant, yeah. I've written a Lex story.
What? You've written
Yes, he did.
a Lex story? Really?
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
god. Is that getting
Yep.
published? When is that getting published?
we're either
I
going
don't
to
know, it's up to Dave.
Bizarchives 4. I'm thinking about putting it in there, but we're like already pretty stacked. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if we're gonna get. Maybe we'll push it back to 5, or maybe we'll put it out on the Substack for guys to read. Well, it'll get out. It's a really good story, and it was. I'll be honest with you, I was like I really enjoyed reading. Mr. Jones is very good at like replicating other styles, and the way that he like, it was cool like reading somebody else trying to like employ my style of prose, because you don't really think about like, well, I write like this, and
Right.
because it's like you're a fish doesn't know about the water, a fish doesn't see the water. So it's like reading that, I was kind of like, he wrote it in like, obviously it's coming from him, it's going to be different, but hearing like how he perceives my writing style was it was pretty pretty interesting and
It's
pretty
like
humbling,
probably
actually.
it's like when Christopher Walken hears people do Christopher Walken impressions. probably felt like that, something like that.
MS Jones, are you going to be Dave's ghostwriter in the future when he's too busy to continue on writing about Lex?
That's actually why I wrote this one, because he said he didn't have time. So
Oh, that's awesome.
next
Well, you
up
guys
is gonna be
you shouldn't have told us that. You could have just been his ghostwriter. Nobody would have known. Maybe.
next
I
one I'm
might
going to
have
do
known.
I'm going to do a Lex Count Clovelure crossover.
Oh, that would be so
speaking
awesome.
Start
for that.
crossing. Yeah, that would be interesting. Start crossing
That would be
worlds.
so epic.
both of the original authors are against it, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Do it.
Well, do you guys have anything else you want to discuss? Any wrapping?
Yeah, like
Wrapping
what? Maybe let us know like what you have for the future going on that you're
Well,
working on.
I was gonna answer the question.
Oh, sorry.
if you
Oh, I'm
want.
sorry, Dave.
Yeah, I talk. Yeah, I talk all the time. I get tired of hearing myself. And these guys, it's not their thing to get up on the microphone and stuff like that. So I like letting everybody else talk. You know what I mean? So I have zero problem with that. But what I'm saying is, the question was, how has it impacted me as a writer? I am not a guy. I grew up in rural, like white trash Pennsylvania, and I didn't get a chance to go to college. I didn't get a chance. I didn't even barely. I had to stay an extra year at high school to graduate, and the only reason they graduated me is to get rid of me. Right? I was a bad kid. I didn't take school seriously. I didn't nobody in my family goes to college. I mean, in my family, going to college is like the equivalent for us. Like the going to college celebration is for people that don't go to jail. It's like Dave doesn't have a felony. Let's throw a party. So that's the fact that I get to rub shoulders with these guys that are very polished, that are have superior technique and are good teachers. Some of these guys have advanced degrees, or they are really, really talented and get to teach me ways that I can polish my writing, because I feel that I have some raw talent, but I feel that I have a long way to go as far as tidying up and becoming a more proficient writer as far as my skill and my craft. So these guys helped me immensely with that stuff. Before I started working with these guys, I would mix up it's between possessive and the other it's I would don't know where to put the apostrophe. I would mix up tenses. I was pretty sloppy, and these guys really, really helped me in my writing style. And I feel that my writing style, because of these guys, has improved greatly. And not just in my story writing, but also in my poetry as well. So it's all of the above I have improved because of these guys. And also because of these guys, Bizarchives wouldn't be a thing. I appreciate the credit the guys give me and all this kind of stuff. There would be no Bizarchives without these guys here and the guys that aren't here. These guys are the pillars of the Bizarchives. I'm just the guy that shouts about it and bullies people into doing the business stuff. And I get out there and I shout and push things around and make things move. But these guys are really the talent behind it. And because of that, we put out books that are, pretty competitive. We are legitimate. I say this, and it's legit. We are legit a top 10% publisher in the world. That's legit. That's a real thing. Now, obviously, that's a little bit skewed because most publishers sell nothing. Most publishers sell 20 books in their entire existence. So it's a little bit, but saying that we're a top 10% is a big flex. It's a pretty cool badge to wear. The fact that we've had several bestsellers is a pretty cool badge to wear. And the fact that we are now getting into the point that we're becoming sort of profitable. In my life, because of what I've done over the past 10 years with podcasting and being a nationalist and all the things that I've done, I am unhireable, right? Everything outside of maybe like an entry-level kitchen job or some shitty third shift warehouse. Anything like outside of that isn't going to hire me. Like it's just the way that I am. And the Bizarchives and all of the different parts of it have given me the freedom that I can pay some of my bills. I can feed my kids, and I could dedicate this. And when Bizarchives gets to a point, I'm going to lift everybody else out of that too. Right. I want everybody to have economic, financial freedom for them and their families. I want everybody to have big stacks of cash and drive around in Cadillacs. I want to throw big parties where we have, sexy waitresses serving us champagne, and we're wearing fancy suits, and we're going to take selfies and give ourselves awards and jerk each other off. And we're going to post it on social media so we can flex on the big pub that said that we would never go nowhere. So,
can I be the guy that like hands the person the award? Because
of course.
I like to be that guy who like is like, okay, you're good, you're not good though.
I think I already
scared you were
going to
say that you wanted to be one of the waitresses.
Well, that's awesome.
I'm too rakish to be a waitress.
Frostcast, what are you going to say, bub?
I was just going to say, if that's how we're doing it, then I think I already get an award for Mr. Wolfshield, right?
You did?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
You have that number one.
I'll expect you in the post.
Yeah, I mean, I say all that and everything, but I believe that it's possible. You know what I mean? I believe that if we play our cards right and we contour to the way that people consume media now, I believe very strongly that we have a good opportunity to really, really grow into something that's not just like a fun little side project. It's not just good for our spheres. It's not just XYZ. It is legitimately a powerful institution that has foreverness, and that we can give to our kids and can employ people and help people and like really become something that is just greater than what we could imagine. I think that we could get there and we could do it. It's going to take a lot more work. A lot of us, these guys here, all the time, they're telling me how they stayed up all night writing and editing stories. They stay up all hours of the night doing work. I'm doing the same thing, man.
And that's insanely difficult in today's like social media age to like actually focus on like writing something and not get distracted by that.
Yeah, exactly. On top of it, we do our own fulfillment. So the books that people receive, me and my boys have like that had Dave's hand taping it up. I packaged the stuff. I'm lugging boxes. We're taking boxes of books on truck rides. Like, we are doing the work, right? We're not just like out here saying, these guys here, the Bizarchives does work. We are really about it, and we're really about it.
You try to sell your books to random people at the gas station.
Yeah, I will chase you down. I will chase strangers down and sell them books.
Somebody left a review on Goodreads. Did you see that?
Yeah. I can't believe that guy left that. He goes, so what happened with that was I saw a guy at the gas station, and I believe he had a Halloween shirt on. He had a horror movie shirt on. And I literally like chased him down, like, yo, what's up, dude? I started a conversation with him, and he was a little bit like too off at first because
that's what he says in the review.
As you would be.
What's he say?
What'd you say?
Yeah, as you would be.
No.
Big Dave chasing down the street.
Yeah, I think he said that at first he thought I was trying to sell him drugs or something.
I just
He's like, oh gosh.
I randomly found that review on Goodreads and almost died laughing because I could see the whole thing playing out in my head.
Yeah. So I was like, yo, you like horror? And we started talking and blah, blah, blah. We've gone back and forth. I was like, yo, check this out. So I gave him my whole sales pitch. I opened my trunk. I had like a box full of books in my trunk. I was like, yo, I'll sell these to you. They're going I sell them for $12. They go $12 on Amazon. I'll give you 2 of them for 20. And he's like, I was okay, what do you got? He had like, I don't know. He had $15 or something. I was like, yeah, I'll take $15. So I like haggled with him on the box.
That's amazing.
And then he left me the review, and he said, hey, I actually like the books. The guy's a fucking nutcase, but
Bizarchives #1 and half the double feature. Just tear the book in front of him. There you go.
That's a fantastic story.
It's legendary.
Oh man. But yeah, I mean, I totally believe in what you guys are doing too, and I hope that you continue on this path of success. I think that it has the potential to be very successful, like you were saying. So, yeah.
Yeah, and not just it's not just books. So I want to people that are listening to this that think that maybe like, oh well, we can't compete with Hollyweird, we can't compete with AAA video games, we can't compete with big publishing because they get all these ESG welfare bucks from the big banks. They have millions and billions and trillions and gazillions of dollars behind them, et cetera, et cetera. Here's the truth of the matter is that I started this project with $200. We're now a top 10% publisher, right? We did our video game project with the Bizarchives put up a few $100s, and then we got like $1,500 in donations. We are now having like almost a AAA style game coming out, a really high quality 3D video game coming out, right? Wolf Shield, what are you doing this? How much was the budget for your film?
I would, well, it's kind of, I've spent probably at least $8,000 on this movie, but that's like for also a camera equipment I needed, as well as like costumes, and then like renting a car and like paying for Alma to fly out also. So it's been a lot of money, and I did get a few donations that helped with that, but it's been mostly out of my pocket. Yeah, but I just want to do it.
Yeah. Also, but even though like a film for let's say it ends up being $10,000 for a film is nothing. You know what I mean? You're able to put together this film for 10 grand. You know what I mean? We can do these things. $10,000. I see like these goofy grifter e-celebs raise, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars to do this shit, right? And we're down here and we're putting out better quality than they could ever dream of because they don't have the talent for like a fraction of the money. And the bottom line is the more stuff that we put out, that's like the Bizarchives, like the Baby Teeth film, like Grim Earth, the video game, like all the different projects that we have coming out, the music that you guys are doing. The bottom line is the more that we keep going, the more that we keep grinding, the more stuff that we come out. Eventually, we're going to be a big fucking force of nature that is going to like really be an institution is here to stay. Right? We can do it. Not only we can do it, we are doing it. It's already happening. Absolutely. All of us. So guys out there that have the black pill, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, no, it's not that we can't. It's that you can't because you don't want to, right? So if you want to, you can. And
tell them.
So
tell them, Dave.
Get on board or get out of the way or take your black pills and stick them up your ass. That's all I got to say.
Hell yeah.
Well, on that note, I think we should probably bring this to an end. What do you think?
Sure. If people want to kind of go around and say what they have coming up and working on.
Yeah, tell us what.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that idea.
You want me to do the final plug, or you guys? What do you guys want to do?
Yeah.
I'm working on the second issue of Toadstool magazine. I'll be posting something out pretty soon about that. So
sweet.
Yeah, I'm assuming people know about Toadstool, and you put the link in the chat as well. So yeah, that will be out very shortly. I'm gonna post the cover art and stuff on Telegram pretty soon. Start building the hype.
Awesome.
I think everybody here has something in it. I'm seeing names in the chat that will have stuff in it too, like Bill Aithling and that. So
feel free to forward that to me on Telegram, and I'll make sure that I share it around on all the platforms that I'm on. So I'll help spread the word.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm happy to. Yeah, absolutely.
Me?
Yes, yeah.
Well, I've got something coming up in the Toadstool Christmas special here.
Ooh, very nice.
Did you have something in the first issue?
Yes.
Okay.
It was the first story, the Swiss piss incident.
And he had a nice drawing too. He did the drawing as well.
Yeah,
you did your own
the drawing. Yeah, I've started doing that now. So I've done one for Christmas story. I've done one for. I haven't got a story in Aegeon 3, but I'm doing some drawings at the moment, and I've illustrated
cool.
my own story for Bizarchives number 4.
Oh, that's great. I can't wait to see that.
Awesome.
I haven't drawn since I was about 16, but it was Mr. Cuthbertson sort of insisted for the first Toadstool that I do a picture, so I'll give it a go.
Have you done any
And
art
I
for
enjoyed it.
your Heraldria world?
No, apart from many maps and.
You should do some art, like maybe draw some of those like.
Well, I tell you what I have
Yesterdarian-
done. Do you know? I have. What's it called? There's a online site where you can create your own 3D figures for wargaming and stuff.
and you
Hero
will-
Vault.
Yeah, so I've done the major characters on that. So maybe do something with that.
You should show me that. I'd be curious to see that.
Oh, that's something we could go and do, a miniatures line. We haven't thought of that.
Haladria
that's
action
genius.
figures. Let's go.
Well, I've got my 3D printer here, so I'm
Actually,
ready.
we have thought about that. That's actually
Action
in the
Ah, okay.
minis.
Perfect.
That'd be awesome. Because I would really like to see more like merch that's actually based off of like the stories you're creating. Because you were selling some merch that had like H.P. Lovecraft on it and stuff like that. I'm like, it's not. I mean, like I want to buy merch for like the actual like stories that you're creating, and like I want to get like a shirt with like a character from the stories, or like a minifigure, like you said. That would be awesome. Start
Yeah,
getting into that.
It's just that stuff costs money. You know what I mean? So it's like it's in the
Right.
budget. It's what we want to do, but it'll be out there. We'll eventually have a whole line. We want to get into, because right now we're using just like print on demand, because it doesn't. Merch is like you got to have a lot of capital up front to have. You got to think. You got to have, especially with t-shirts, you got to have 2 that are, you got to have 10 small and then 20 large and 20 extra large, and you have all this stuff. And by the end of the day, you're like, you got to drop $1,000 to have a decent inventory of shirts. They take up a lot of space. They don't. They're a little bit more expensive to ship, and then on top of it, the profit margin's not really great on it. So it's like, if you want to sell a shirt, it's people are like, oh, $25 for a shirt. It's like, well, we only make $4 on it. You know what I mean? So that's the nuts and bolts of merch. But we are looking at minis for guys out there that are big 40K fans or Warhammer fans or whatever, BattleTech. We are looking at having. We're not just looking at it. We're going to do it pretty soon. We're probably at first going to sell the downloads, so you can download the file to 3D print your own like Lex or Core Lore figures and paint them and do your own thing with them. But we also want to do like pewter cast and other casts of the characters for the Bizarchives for us to sell. It's going to be a ways off, but it is in the pipeline.
That's awesome.
That is really cool.
I'll definitely be
Need the
collecting those.
Need a Bizarchives card game as well.
Or a board game, maybe.
Well, speaking of that, I do have the Grim Earth tabletop game is about to drop soon. So we got the Grim Earth video game coming out, and then we also have the Grim Earth tabletop game, which is a tabletop game that I created like ages ago. I can tell you all about it. It's a D6 system, and got character sheets and like all that kind of stuff. And the minis are going to go with that, and so we got like this whole big like intellectual property for all of it. We're gonna have games and everything surrounding it. And we've even talked about, there's been guys that reached out that do like dungeon synth music, and they want to like do like Bizarchives themed dungeon synth music. So we're thinking about selling CDs and shit too. Like, so we're gonna have a lot of stuff in the shop in a couple years.
Oh, it's awesome. Hell yeah.
I'm gonna buy all of it. Gives it to me.
Trust me, we're on it. We got our fingers in the pies, and we want to hit every angle and every possible outlet that we can to, because the goal is we want to give people an alternative. They don't have to buy from Penguin Random House anymore. They don't have to buy from Ubisoft anymore. They don't have to buy from Wizards of the Coast.
Wizards
the rest
of the Coast.
Yeah, the pedos of the coast. Those guys are scumbags. So we want to create an entire like alternative ecosystem of entertainment, top to bottom, for everybody. It's just,
Mhm.
you know, we're only a small crew of guys, and it takes a long time to do this stuff. Takes some capital, but it is in the playbook. We want to do this.
Yeah, and having financial success outside of the system is like the biggest black eye you can give to the system, really.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, uh,
Yeah, shall I go?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I got some stuff on Toadstool as well. And I'm working on that folk horror collection. And actually, I was working on some of Aegon as well. So we'll see if that gets accepted. But yeah, Toadstool, Bizarchives, and Aegon basically what I'm going for.
Oh, it's awesome.
My Vector. Yeah.
Very
Awesome.
cool.
Nice. All right. Well, that was a great time, guys. I'm really glad you joined us and we were able to hang out and chat.
Oh, wait.
Uh-oh,
Sacred Times. Sacred Times Part 2 coming out eventually.
Oh,
And,
no! You're
Dun, dun,
killing
dun.
me! Oh, man.
Hey, Dave, I have a question. I don't know if you answered this already. I feel like maybe you haven't, but when does Bizarchives 4 come out? Do you have a date for that yet?
Yeah, any day.
Any
Wait,
day.
real quick. Let's do this real quick.
You're
Hang
gonna
on one
share.
second.
You're gonna share something with us?
Yup.
Oh boy, here we go.
ooh.
A Bizarchives Extravaganza exclusive.
If you could, Miss Hireth, if you could put that in the. I got my screen share up.
Ah,
One
there we
second
go.
here.
Whoa.
Wait, that might not be the right thing. Wait, I screwed it up.
Oh no, it's all ogre.
Where the heck is it? Come
Live
on.
on
Here we
screen
go.
two.
Here we go. I got it.
There we go.
Okay.
Bizarchives issue 4. So we have like a little bit, tiny bit more work to do on it. But you could see here, got a cover. It's by a German guy named Erwin Roos.
I love that cover. That is so
I like
cool.
it too. Very pulpy, very classic pulp. You can see here, Cuthbertson back with the Warping Woods. We got Matthew Pungator with the Bloodthirst Savage. Happy Valley, Mr. M.S. Jones is a very cool, weird West kind of story. The Crater of a Sulagar by H.G. Byron, who appeared in Bizarchives 1. He's back with another weird sci-fi. Mr. Big Dave is in there. She Has Arrived, another sci-fi, which is pretty darn, might be the most bizarre, tragic, horrible thing I've ever written in my entire life. So get ready for that. Tangrels by C.J. Miller.
C.J. Miller.
is-
I'm excited. He's doing another one.
Yup. C.J. Miller. All right, crap. Hold up.
No, did you
There we
just
go. There
spoil
we
it?
I fixed it. So C.J. Miller is he's back with that. He had the Sound from Beneath in Bizarchives 2. He's back with
That was
Tangrels.
such a good one.
Oh, it's one of my favorites. And this is a really cool like creature feature. We got Robert C. Booth comes back. I actually think we're going to
with
switch
Ruben
this story
Bennett?
out with a different story. Eric Yunt, L.T. Greystoke, Thing from the Sea, Man Who Made a Monster, C.P. Webster, Damian Zender, who is the Arkham reporter, Brendan Hurd, Emra Tan, and some new guys, Lionel Verney. We got a lot of stuff lined up for
That's
this.
a big lineup there.
Yeah, this is going to be this book is going to be pretty. It's going to be more horror. It's sort of like we're going to kind of going off of Bizarchives 3 with the strong horror theme, but there's going to be a little bit more weirdness in there. It's a little bit more fantasism. So I think people are really going to like it. It's a little less gory and gruesome than the first one, but I think people are really going to like it. There's a lot of bangers in here.
That's
Now,
awesome.
You said you're going to be switching out the Robert C. Booth one?
Yeah, he's got another story that he likes better, and we're taking a look at that and seeing if we're going to switch that one
Is
out.
that not a Ruben Bennett story?
This one is not a Ruben Bennett story. I think the one that we're going to look at is a Ruben Bennett story.
Okay.
We got some art in here by Artist of Albion. That's the art for my
cool.
story.
That's awesome.
pretty gruesome and grotesque.
Mm-hmm.
We got some. Let me see who else. Let me see. Here's a good one. Here's some art from Arturi Cavella for Mr. Damien Zender, the Arkham Reporter. It was a really great YouTube channel, very successful YouTube channel. Mr. Coralor.
This is some really
here.
cool art. This
Oh,
might be
cool.
like my favorite inside art I've seen so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is my favorite depiction of those two by far.
Oh, that's Count Troiler and
Yeah, that's Count Carlo and Prospero. Yeah.
yeah.
And then also we Mr. Don Kenson here with a cool sketch that he did for us with a vampire. So there's a few artists in this one. It's not just one or two. It's we have like 3 or 4 different artists. Let me see. We got a guy in here named Alan. I always forget his last. Alan Emerson, maybe. He does the art for Crater of Asulagar. He did that. And
That
then,
looks so cool.
Yeah, it
yeah,
does.
it's really good. It's really, really good. And then he also did for Brendan's story, Witch of Rock Creek.
Very cool.
Nice.
Really taking it up a notch for this one. I'm so excited.
I hope people like it. I hope people like it.
Hell yeah. I can't wait.
Yeah, Bizarchives 4. And then also we had, for guys out there that are not familiar, on our Substack we do free ebooks like every month. And last month we did the complete Arthur Macken collection, which is like 600 pages. We were going to do it in print, but for reasons unknown, it's probably not going to be going into print, but it is available on the Substack. So we have a lot of great books on there. We have kids' books on there. We brought back a pulp novel from back in the day, from like 1907 or something like that, called The 6-Gun Gorilla. It's about a gorilla cowboy. It's a kid's pulp story. We got lots of stuff on there. And then also another thing that we're working on is the Obelisk magazine. It's going to be coming out of the Bizarchives. And our next re-release is it's in the works. It's going to be a while. This is just sneak peek stuff. But we have right now the working title is The Emperor of Dreams, a complete collection of poetry from Clark Ashton Smith. So that's going to be, it's got Hashish Eater, Star Treader, all of his most like wondrous poems. So you guys out there that really love fantasism and poetry and storytelling and prose poetry are going to just adore this. Clark Ashton Smith is like one of the greatest poets of all time, and I think people are really going to like it.
Oh, it's so cool. I look forward to checking all that out. So
Based in Bizarre Pilled. Hell yeah.
And I want to thank you guys. When Bizarchives first came out, you guys were the first ones to lift us up and helped us out, and that initial bump that we got was thanks to you guys. So the Bizarchives will always owe a debt of gratitude to the White Art Collective and you guys specifically. So thank you so much for all your help and having our backs from day one, and hopefully for many years to come.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's my pleasure. Yeah, I truly love
Thank
what
you,
you guys
Emma.
are doing. It's so needed in this day and age. So yeah, happy to support it.
Alrighty, I think we can close this down. Thank you all for coming on.
Yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you for commenting in the chat and
Yeah,
stuff.
we had a
So,
pretty good turnout for this show.
yeah.
People
So
were-
buy books, buy lots of books,
buy awesome
and read
books.
them, and give really good feedback. Leave reviews. So that's all I gotta say. Anyways, have a good night, everyone.
All right,
Thank
peace
you.
out.
Yeah.
Bye.
See ya.